The MLB All Star Game is less than a month away now. It's 3 weeks away. And as you see this tomorrow, there's a good chance you will see that the phase 1 of the All Star voting is over. If I'm correct, it ends June 30th, which is tomorrow when this video is uploaded. So, and remember, the leading vote getters in phase 1 from each league automatically gets a start. However, some of this stuff brings in some problems with the All Star voting because only fans vote for it. And as we've seen in the past, for example, with the Kansas City Royals, and we're seeing it now with the Toronto Blue Jays, some fans like to vote a lot more than other fans, and it leads to some players who maybe aren't as deserving being selected over guys who maybe are more deserving, but for whatever reason aren't getting as many votes. So, should the fans vote in the All-Star game for the All-Star starters? Should they have a say? How much of the say should they have? We're going to cover that all right here on Bleacher Brawls. My name is Derek, and I'm here with Luke. Should the fans vote for the All-Star game? Find that out right here on Bleacher Brawls, and let's get into it. First things first, obviously, I think the big topic of this video is covering the All-Star voting, and we got to mention the Toronto Blue Jays because they have, I think, 4 guys leading their position or 3 guys leading their position. Their position leaders are Alejandro Kirk at catcher, totally deserving. He's the one who's 110% deserving of it. However, at first base, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has almost double the votes of Ty France, who's in second place. That's ridiculous. Santiago Espinal being in second place ahead of Andres Jimenez. I think that's definitely a stretch. Third base, Matt Chapman being third. You can say that's a stretch as well. Definitely. Shortstop, this one might be the most egregious one. Bo Bichette ahead of Tim Anderson. And then especially in third place, Sander Bogaerts. That's a swing and a miss. And I'd even put Jeremy Pena over Bo Bichette, who's in fourth. And then at DH, Danny Jansen is third. How does that happen? He's ahead of JD Martinez. I don't know. And then in the outfield, Springer's third. Okay. But Lourdes Gurriel and Teoscar Hernandez are 6 and 7. 4 Blue Jays outfielders in the top 7. 3 in the top 7. That's a lot of votes going to Blue Jays players. And obviously, they have a whole country behind them. I know Luke has a strong kind of feeling on this, so I'll hand it over to him.
Well, you said at the beginning, we have to talk about the Blue Jays, and that's really the whole inspiration for even doing this video is that the All-Star voting is screwed because of the Blue Jays fans. And we saw this in 2015 with the Kansas City Royals. At one point, close to when the voting closed, 8 of Kansas City's 9 starters were leading the voting. The Kansas City fans just decided to stuff the ballot box in 2015, and something very similar happened in 2016. Now, the Royals were pretty good those 2 years. They won the World Series in 2016, but Alcides Escobar and Mike Moustakas leading the voting in their position. I mean, there were plenty of others, some deserving, a couple were deserving, but it's happening again this year. With Toronto fan voting, look, getting the fans involved, letting the fans be the ones to choose, letting the people who pay admission, the people who watch the games, vote on who starts in the All-Star game. It's a great concept. In concept, it makes all the sense in the world. But the concept is not all fans are going to vote for the concept. There are a lot of fans who don't know a damn thing except the players on their own team. And they're just going to go on and they're just going to vote for all of their guys. I did it until I was 11, 12 years old. And then there are other fans who know better, but are still just going to vote for the players that they like just because, we get to see our guys in the All-Star game. Yay. It's not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to vote. You're supposed to think about it, give your educated opinion and, decide who you think should be there. Look, I always want the Red Sox, as many Red Sox players in, but ever since I was a teenager, I just couldn't bring myself to just check off Kevin Millar and, check off Julio Lugo and those kind of, I just could never bring myself to do it. I feel like some kind of responsibility if I'm going to vote for the All-Star starters. And the Blue Jays are taking this just like the Royals did. What the Blue Jays are doing is giving Canada a bad name. Now, Canada has a pretty good name. I mean, people think of Canada, they think of very polite, proper, well-minded, good-meaning people. And these Blue Jays fans are skewing all that for people who follow baseball, because they're looking at Canadians as a bunch of selfish asshats that just want to see their guys in the game. And it's really, and they are really coming off like a bunch of selfish, deluded assholes voting for all of their players, including guys like Espinal and Chapman and Jansen and Bichette over Xander Bogaerts and Jeremy Pena. I mean, come on, this is,
and even Tim Anderson.
And Tim Anderson, that's right. That was the other one I was thinking of. Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson makes it over Bogaerts, all well and good. I'm fine with that, but you keep Bo Bichette out, away, as far away from the All-Star game.
He shouldn't be in the top 3
with his 250 average and his wavy ass hair.
Yeah. Well, I think too, people, not like you said, how people vote, they vote for the team or whatever, but also people vote based on previous seasons the players had, which doesn't correlate at all to the All-Star voting. Though Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had a great year last year, and people remember that because it's recent. So people might vote for him because of that, even though they don't realize that he's not having the crazy year this year because they're not super paying attention to the whole league. Or big names get voted for. Like, I know Miguel Cabrera, he deserves it. Obviously, had a good year, but he's 5th at DH voting. If this was, 2017 Miguel Cabrera, or I don't know, whatever year he wasn't that amazing, but it's still the name of Miguel Cabrera, he's still going to get a decent amount of All-Star votes. I don't
and
even
that
know.
That goes with the territory. I'm okay with that. If Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the All-Star starter, I'm not going to be pissy about that. He's having a good year, not as good as last year. I mean, does Ty France deserve it a lot more?
Yeah.
Of course. But that kind of shit's been happening for decades.
Yeah.
And that's always going to happen as long as it's fan voting, especially an online fan voting system where everyone can vote 6 times. Back in when the Royals fans were doing it, you could vote like 35 times.
Yeah, it's 5 times a day now.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that kind of stuff is always going to happen. But stuff in the ballot box with your whole team is completely wrong. It's complete garbage. It really pisses me off. And it's a case of selfish asshat fans taking, I mean, it's not their fault because the system allows them to do it.
Yeah.
But in doing this, they're taking some well-deserved achievements and from some deserving players, and they're taking money out of the hands of some well-deserving players, because you make an all-star team, or you make your 2nd, 3rd, 4th all-star game, then your next contract, that makes you all the more valuable.
And also to look at the guys who are still on rookie deals, like, Ty France, Andres Jimenez is having a great year. I had him as my starting second base in the All-Star on my All-Star video. And I understand Altuve, obviously. It's not like Altuve's having a bad year. I personally went for Jimenez. But another guy at first base, somehow is only 4th, Luis Arraez. I had Luis Arraez right behind Ty France. And, and I had Vlad 3rd. And, so there's guys that could really use it, especially in the terms of, getting a bigger profile. And it's also big market versus small market. Ty France, small market. Arraez, small market. Jimenez, small market. Guerrero, big market. Espinal, big market. Even Altuve, Houston's a big market. And like Jose Ramirez, obviously, I thought Jose Ramirez was the 3rd base All-Star starter. I had Devers, but those that should be argued. But the fact that they aren't like 10,000, like 1 million votes ahead of Matt Chapman is ridiculous to me. I think they should both be like way ahead of him. Bo Bichette having 1 million votes is just ridiculous when no other shortstop has 850,000. But like, it's just that thing where it's like this is what happens when you allow the fans to vote, and there's no like limits on how many players you can pick from a team or this or that, and it's solely based on the fan vote. That's where you kind of run into that trouble of, someone could just go and pick all the Red Sox players, or all the Rays players, or all the Yankees players, or all the Blue Jays players, or all the Orioles players. Like, there's got to be some Orioles fan somewhere voting for all the Orioles players, or there's got to be some Pirates fan voting for all the Pirates players, but they don't add up because they're not playing well enough. But however, you take a team that does have good players, that all their fans are voting for them, plus some outside fans voting for them, especially at positions where it's tight between some other people, but there's no standout candidate. That's why at second base, Espinal's 2nd, because Altuve is not destroying the field this year. And there's not like a candidate, another guy who's going way out ahead of all the other second basemen.
And I also think this is a symptom of an online voting system, because back in the day, you used to have to go to the park to vote, or you'd have to get a ballot, fill it out, and then mail it in. And addressing the envelope, putting the stamp on there, going to the mailbox. Way more people are voting now, that like way more casual fans or people who aren't even really fans are voting now than would before, because somebody could just forward an email to their whole family, say, hey, vote for all the Blue Jays, and fine, it'll take me 8 seconds, click, 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 submit, and that's it. And it's a very flawed system. Fans are not, the All-Star game is for the fans, but the fans are clearly can't be trusted with the vote. And I don't want to see, I no longer want to see the people who the majority of the fans want to see in the All-Star game. I want to see the best players. I don't want to see just the big names. I don't want to see Miguel Cabrera just because he's the biggest name, one of the biggest names out there, when he doesn't deserve it. I want to see the best players, because that's the best players that year playing in the All-Star game are going to put on the most entertaining game. And it's just there needs to be a new system in place for voting for the starters.
Yeah. And prime example, guess where Fernando Tatis Jr. is in All-Star voting for National League shortstops?
Wait, say that again?
Guess where Fernando Tatis Jr., who hasn't played a game this season, is in voting for the National League shortstops?
Oh, he's leading, right?
No, he's fifth. He's fifth.
Oh, is he?
Trey Turner's leading. Then it's Dansby Swanson. But he's fifth behind. He's fifth. Yeah. Hello, there's other guys who hasn't played a single game. Like,
people know him. People know his name. He's a name, like, okay, oh, Tatis, he's good. I'll vote for him. It's not people who follow it. And that's what's got to change. It's I've said this, I don't want to get in trouble here. I've said this for voting for president too. Like, you should almost have to pass some kind of basic political IQ test to be able to vote, because I'm not sure everybody deserves the right to vote. I think you should have to prove that you are capable of casting and making an informed decision. And if you can't name the president and the vice president and the names of the two parties, you don't deserve the right to vote. And if you're not following the game of baseball, if you don't know who the best players are, I don't think you should be voting. Leave that to the people who do follow it and who do have a vested interest in having an entertaining All-Star game and having the right guys recognized.
Yeah, prime example, Cody Bellinger has over 100,000 more votes than Kyle Schwarber. Anyone want to explain that to me? Like,
that's deserving. That's completely deserving. Cody Bellinger. If anybody deserves to play in the All-Star game, it's Cody Bellinger.
No chance. You don't want. We're not discussing Bellinger, but there's the fact that it's ridiculous that we have to have this conversation, because it's like, guys, why can't we just get the best players that are in the All-Star game? Maybe one guy who's not the best player at his position gets in, but the best guys will be on the bench at least. And it's only the second best guy that gets in, like third base this year. If Devers doesn't start, I'm not going to be upset. Why? It'll be Jose Ramirez. Hopefully the second phase of voting will make it better, because there'll only be 3 people per position and then 9 in the outfield, because there's 3 outfield starters. So hopefully that'll make things look better. But I don't want to. If we get to the All-Star game, there's 4 or 5 Blue Jay startings, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm actually going to lose my mind.
Yeah, if there's anybody other than Kirk and Guerrero starting, I'm going to lose my mind. Or maybe Springer. He's not having a great year, but he's a name. I don't even mind that if Springer, because Springer, Gurriel, and Hernandez are all really good. I don't mind their placements on there, but I think if
Byron Buxton being below them is a little bit.
That's silly. But again, that happens. But that Gurriel and Hernandez are both really good. I don't think a lot of the people who voted for them have any idea that Gurriel and Hernandez are really good players. Yeah. And Hernandez was out for a long time. He's not tearing it out. He hasn't played all that much. He clearly doesn't deserve it. But look, so fans are, for the most part, fans are apparently, look at the numbers, they're ignorant as to who should be in there. So the first instinct I had was, all right, just let the managers, the American League and National League managers pick the teams. But those guys can't be trusted either. And what makes me think of that is Joe Torre used to stack his team in the reserves. He used to take all his pitchers. He used to take all his backups and just load up the team with Yankees, because that's the Yankee way. And just, it was a Yankee show.
And they're in the World Series every year, so he could do it.
Right. Yeah. Because he was the manager every year. Like, all right. Yeah. I'll take Jeff Nelson again. You
just needed one minimum for every team. So get the one in, and then here come all my Yankees.
Yeah. And it was so I think, I've never said this before in my life, and I'll probably never say it again. The NBA has it right. They have it kind of a committee style. I know, I don't know the exact formula, but
so the way they do it is 50% of the votes are cast by the fans. The fan vote counts for 50% of the vote. And then the players and media combined count for the other 50%. I'm pretty sure it's 25% players, 25% media. Now the NBA, I don't think they get all-star starters wrong that often. Maybe one here or there, but it's very rare the NBA gets all-star starting and go, why the heck is this guy in here?
Yeah, it doesn't happen. But it's also, there's only 10 guys, so the best players, everyone knows who the best players are. But what I think is, it should be, fans should vote. Fans should have a say. Let fans account for a third of the vote. Let the writers account for a third of the vote, and let the players and coaches account for a third of the vote. So you got 3 piles voting, you add them all together, and at least you're weeding out a lot of the bullshit. You're weeding out the Espinals, you're hopefully weeding out the Bo Bichettes and the Jansons, and maybe the Matt Chapmans. I mean, he's a platinum glove winner, and a lot of people know who he is, but
he hasn't been good since 2019.
Yeah, he hits like 220. I mean, something other than 100% fan voting, because clearly the system's broken. Royals fans screwed with it 7-8 years ago, and now Blue Jays fans are screwing it all over again. Not their fault, because you give a monkey a submachine gun, and he shoots up the house. You're not going to blame the monkey. Don't give them the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and it's too, if the Red Sox or the Yankees or the Dodgers are doing that, they're being big uproar about it. But because it's the Blue Jays and they're not, this massive market, I mean, they are a big market, but in the terms they have a whole country behind them. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're a big market because they're the only team in a country. So they're the Canadian.
Plus, Toronto is one of the biggest markets in Canada. And in other pro sports like basketball and hockey, it is a very big market.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think Toronto fans are just taking out their anger because the Maple Leafs haven't won anything in June in like 100 years. So get your anger out, get your guys in the All-Star game. We know. Oh my God, it's so sad. Yeah.
And don't even get me started on the advantage that the Blue Jays have for every home game, where anybody who's unvaccinated cannot play in Rogers Center. I don't think enough people talk about that. Like, this is quite an advantage, and it's not the players' fault. It's not the team's fault. It's just, it's a loophole that they get to exploit. But I mean, look, they got that advantage already. You don't need to annex the All-Star game too.
They don't have to face Tanner Houck in the 9th inning.
Yes, exactly. That's a big. All you can tell when we're recording this right now, but just based on
the Red Sox game's going on right now, and they blew a lead in the 8th.
Yeah, and the Red Sox and Yankees are in the biggest markets, and they're ballot stuffers. We're ballot stuffers too, But nothing like this. I don't remember 6 Red Sox players all at the top of the league voting process before. This is a whole new level.
Yeah, it's a little bit ridiculous. Any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
Just what I said, just that, just reiterate, it was a great concept. The fans should be able to vote. In a perfect world, you can trust the fans, but the fans are idiots, I guess. I mean,
that's why the fans don't vote for the Hall of Fame.
Right. That's what exactly, the writers vote for the Hall of Fame. We got enough problems with what the writers selections are every single year. You're looking at somebody releases their ballot and you're like, what was this asshole thinking? Imagine if the fans were voting for the Hall of Fame, what kind of guys we'd have in the Hall of Fame.
Like the 3 people who didn't vote for Ken Griffey Jr., or like the 1 person who didn't vote for Jeter. Like,
yeah. That's just to stick out, just to be a rebel. I might get a few followers if I.
Oh, there's like one guy who hasn't voted for anyone in like 5 years besides Mariano.
To be compelling, like the Dan Shaughnessy effect. Like, oh, if I don't vote for this obvious Hall of Famer, then people will take notice of me. I'll get some more clicks.
Yeah, people just click on it because they hate him.
Yes, hate clicking. I do it myself.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's gonna wrap this one up. All-Star fans, I think we both agree fans should be allowed to vote for the All-Star game and the starters, but maybe lessen the amount it counts for because it is a little ridiculous at times. And we're seeing it again this year. It's a big issue. And hopefully it'll be figured out for this All-Star game. We won't have 5 Blue Jays starting this year, hopefully. Make sure to check out everything in the description, the podcast, Instagram, website, and Twitter, plus all the crew's Twitters. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell while you're down there. And make sure to stay tuned for if we do Twitter Spaces on Red Sox games or even Yankees games. I think we have a Yankees one coming up. I think the day this goes out on Thursday, June 30th, I think. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. And then, yeah, that's it. For Luke, I'm Derek. You've watched Bleacher Brawls, and we'll see you next time.